let's take a look at how we might create an instrument panel from scratch. So I've selected the empty example panel, so nothing here on the screen, and I'm going to go up to this widget creation area of the site, and I'm going to say, let's do this. Let's do an electric. Let's do an instrument panel you might have on the screen while you're flying an electric airplane. So let's use arc gauges just for something different. And let's put a new round arc gauge on the palette. And you can see it deposits it here in the center of our window. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a smaller arc gauge for the motor voltage and another one for the motor current. So let's start with this one as volts. Let's take the radius down to something that we could handle more easily with two of them, maybe a radius of 50 pixels. Let's shrink that font size just a hair down to big from maxi, and let's place this. Well, so let's take a look at the color spectrum. So right now it goes from red, orange to yellow to green. So let's change that to go from blue at the low end. Then we'll delete this one, go to yellow at the high end, and then red at the highest voltage. And so that'll give us something that looks like this. We start out blue and we continually switch through yellow and eventually to red. And of course, this is in the auto spectrum mode where it creates the color spectrum between these blue, yellow, and red anchor points. We could also go to manual, and then we could actually set the clip points. You'll see here what it did is just divided them evenly for us. And so it would go from solid blue to solid yellow to solid red. Okay, but we're going to go back to auto for this example. And let's place this gauge over here. And then we could do another new, but let's just duplicate this one because we already did some work on the font sizes. It duplicates it right on top. So we just kind of slide it over. And these actually look a little bigger than I think I want them to. So I'm going to go down to, I don't know, let's say 40, let's say 45. Okay, and we could have done this, of course, before we duplicated, but we didn't, so we'll have to change both of them. And we're going to change this one to amps, if we could spell. Okay, and then the volt scale, the minimum, maximum, the volt scale, let's say it goes up to 30 volts. The slider has to recalibrate itself. And let's have the current, 0 to 100 amps is fine for the current. So let's pull these over to the side. And remember, we can adjust the Y values up and down. And you can see that the Y value on this gauge we can click on that and then use our arrows to make 1 pixel adjustment. It's a Y of 55, and let's take this one and set it also to a Y of 55. So those two are nicely aligned. Now let's assume we'd like another round arc gauge, and here we'll just pick it from the palette. That'll be the watts being consumed by the motor, so the product of volts and amps. Okay, and so we'll move that over. And we'll then slide down to its edit window, and we'll use the radius knob to make that bigger. And we're going to call this power in watts. And our full scale on that is going to be 3000. Okay. So you can see now we're going from 0 to 3000. And let's go down and do the same thing. On our colors, we'll go from blue to yellow to red, just like we did on the other gauges. Okay, and then we can see as the value slides, we go up and down to 3000 watts. And so now let's put one more thing on this panel. We left some space down at the bottom. Let's select a horizontal bar. Maybe we want to look at battery capacity. And so we drop a horizontal bar. We can go down and edit that. We'll make it a bit wider to fill the space. We'll slide it over a little bit. We're going to give that a title of capacity in milliamp hours. And the full scale on that, let's say, is going to be 5,000. Now, that's not such a bad scale, but I don't think since we have a visual indication, we don't really need that fine labeling with the numbers. I think it'll look a little bit better if we just did that and just had the halfway mark, and then we can see from the colors and the position, what we have going here, in the capacity. Okay, so 0 to 5,000 on the capacity in milliamp hours. And so that is our complete panel. And then what we can do is, now that we're finished with that, we're happy with it, we can create app source, we can get our dynamic repo link, and then we can go paste that into Jetty Studio.